Hello there, and welcome back to Real Reviews. My name is Jameson Rabbit, and the man sitting next to me lived a previous life as an ocelot, and his name is Mike Roth.
Yeah, of course. It's the greatest of all the cats, if you don't consider the larger cats. Yeah.
I never do consider larger cats.
No, I don't either. There's
No.
a certain size, and after that, I just picture them as dogs, because it's weird that cats could grow so big.
It's a really good theory.
Yeah.
I kind of like that.
I like to use alternative facts for
Hey guys,
my
check
thinking.
out that dog over there with all the crazy stripes on it. I like that. So this week we've got a few movies to talk about on the marquee, but more importantly, we are going to be coming with our top 10 best movies of 2016. We are finally putting the final bow on 2016. We've seen everything we need to see.
Yeah.
And before we get into Oscar talk, Oscar season in upcoming weeks, we want to tell you what we thought was the best of last year.
Yeah, that's our personal.
Yes,
best.
very personal list.
If you want to argue with us, we will accept those arguments, but
Fisticuffs break out.
it boils down to what we like.
But before we get to those, of course, let's take a look at what was on the marquee this week. The first movie I have is a movie from director Stephen Goggin called Gold, starring Matthew McConaughey as a guy named Kenny Wells. Kenny Wells is a chain-smoking, hard-drinking, big-dreaming guy who owns... He's the third-generation prospector in his family, and he has taken over the family business. His father, played by Craig T. Nelson, Coach. First off, I love that his dad is Craig T. Nelson. Gives him the family business, and through various reasons, the business is struggling big time. It's taken a beating, and he is desperate for a score. He's a prospector. He needs to find a big score, and he has a dream of gold in Indonesia, and he swears he knows how to get it. He hooks up with another guy, Michael Acosta, played by Edgar Ramirez, and he is a former Wonder Boy who once had a big score and is down on his luck as well. And they hook up together and they say, "We can do this, man." Michael Acosta has a theory on where gold is, this ring of fire theory that he has. So the two of them go down to Indonesia and start mining deep in the jungle, looking for something that no one believes is there. And it's interesting as he sets up this prospecting facility deep in the jungle of Indonesia. And things don't go as you would expect, but eventually they get huge results. Bigger results than anyone could have dreamed of. Gold, there's gold in their jungle. And these guys become mega stars. Kenny Wells specifically becomes a mega star, and big investors are coming all to get him, to let them get into his company. There's millions for everyone, tens and hundreds of millions for everyone. The stock of his company, Washoe, is skyrocketing. He is on top of the world. But of course, gold and success will breed contempt, and they will breed jealousy. And
That's gold fever, isn't it?
Gold fever sets in, and it divides his marriage. Bryce Dallas Howard plays his wife, Kay. It comes between them. It becomes between him and his partner. He starts to believe his own hype, and that he is kind of untouchable. And in like any of these stories, it has its ups and downs. It would be boring if it was just, and then
True.
he did great.
And then he did
End of
awesome.
story.
The end.
So obviously it has its ups and downs. And Matthew McConaughey has a very physical performance in this. Again, of course, like he put on a nice amount of weight and has this amazing comb over in this movie.
Yeah.
I think he just likes doing that. Like, I got to do something physical to get into it. So he's great. McConaughey's great. And, Corey Stoll is in this as an investor. He's fun. Edgar Ramirez is Michael Acosta. It's fine. They completely wasted Bryce Dallas Howard. She was just, like, kind of a set piece for most of the movie. Like, even the drama between her and her husband just kind of felt really passé, and she was out of it. Like, you could have gotten anyone. Bryce Dallas Howard's a good actress.
Yeah.
And the movie just felt kind of safe. It wasn't as dramatic or turmoil-filled as I was expecting to be. I was kind of hoping from the trailer, it almost has a Wolf of Wall Street type of feel to it.
Yeah.
And it didn't have the big ups and downs. They were gradual hills instead of big mountains I'm climbing. And so it just felt safe in its storytelling. And, it left a lot to be desired. I mean, even the big moments for it were kind of like, well, that's it?
Oh.
Like, it's not a huge moment for you. Like, yeah, you can come back from that. You know? And so it was rather disappointing to me. And so ultimately, I gave it 2 out of 5 stars.
Oh, that's not good. Matthew McConaughey couldn't
Matthew
raise it?
McConaughey
Was he the 2 stars?
He was basically the 2 stars. Yeah, absolutely. So that's disappointing.
Well, that's a shame.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you have for us this week, sir?
I also have a shame to tell you.
Uh-oh.
Oh, no. I have Resident Evil, the final chapter. This is the sixth installment of a very long-running series. What we have here is Alice, the original. She's from the first movie. I'm not going to go through every single movie, but the gist of it is she battles all these they were supposed to be zombies, but now they're more monsters, things that have been mutated by the T virus. In the beginning, the very first movie, we had a computer program called the Red Queen. The Red Queen is back and somehow developed emotions and empathy and wants to save the human race, but it has to be done within 24 hours because all the human strongholds are getting wiped out within 24 hours, and Alice needs to rush all the way back to the beginning, Raccoon City, to stop it.
Sounds exciting.
Yeah, there's an antidote that's airborne, which is completely silly and stupid, but I'm not going to get into that.
Yes.
So Alice is on the rush to get back to Raccoon City, and she runs across a couple of old friends, and people that she's killed has come back, and everything is explained by cloning. Right away, there's a lot of things I don't like about this movie, but the plot right there makes me start to hate it a little bit. Once you get into a thing where anybody can be cloned and every clone that you see
it's a cop-out.
believes it's the original, makes you think that, anything that happens in this movie has no merit. Anybody could die, and they could come back and go, that one in the last movie, that wasn't the original.
Right.
Also, with a name like Final Chapter, you would assume that this
we close the book.
There would be a closing of the book. There would be no loose ties, and everything will be like, wow, at least it's all over. Thank God.
Yeah.
But spoiler alert, they still leave this open where if they decide to do more, even without that whole clone theory, they could still make more of these movies.
So there's nobody with the pen at the end going, the end.
No, there is. Everything is still kind of the same. Now, you could say, okay, Mike, you don't go to these movies because of the plot. It's the action and the creepiness factor. The creepiness factor is not here. It's stopped being a horror movie and more like a monster movie with a lot of flash, and all the action is boiled down to 1-second scenes of a fist, of a kick, of a knife, of a gauge, all put together. A lot of it is the same thing. There's a picture of a monster going, ah! Well, in 6 flashes, you'll get back to that monster doing the exact same thing. This movie was horribly written, horribly sought out. I really hope this is the final chapter, but I have a feeling if Mila or Paul Anderson, if they can't do anything else, they might say, hey, let's do this Resident Evil thing again. We left it open where Alice could still have more story, which makes it not the final chapter.
So it'll be the book continues.
Yeah, it's just like, well, we hope it's over with, but it probably depends on how their careers are going for the next few years. They do leave it open with the end of this movie to do more, or if they did finish it like they should have, they left it open where they could just said, okay, well, all those guys you saw in the last movie were just clones, and it really didn't make a difference.
So it sounds to me like you don't care for this movie?
This movie was so
What did you give it?
Terrible. I give it a 0.
Go!
There's no reason to see this. If you are a Resident Evil fan, which I am, I did like the first movies. The other movies I kind of like because of my love for the first movie, but this one is total garbage.
Yeah.
And if you really have a love for this franchise, I wouldn't end it on this. I would just rewind it to one of your best parts of the previous movies and just go, you know what? That's fine.
I'm good there.
I'm good right there.
0 stars.
0
We're
stars.
First week of February.
Yeah,
we're knocking 0-star movies
This
out.
is a strong contender for my worst movie of
Be
this
talking
year.
about it this time next year?
If this came out last month, this would have made my worst movie of last year.
Yikes. All right, the next movie, the final movie we have on the marquee this week is a much controversial movie. It is A Dog's Purpose from director Lasse Hallström. You have a dog voiced by Josh Gad. We'll call him Bailey to start off with. Bailey. And Bailey is in the 1960s. He is a little dog. He has his boy Ethan who takes care of him. Ethan loves him. Oh, we're growing up with Bailey. Things are great. And Bailey dies. And gets reincarnated as a different dog, and then that dog dies.
There's a dog that dies before,
right? Yeah, that's true, right?
To Bailey. Yeah, that dog only lasted a couple minutes.
And then another dog dies and then gets reincarnated, and then that dog dies again and comes back as Buddy. This movie is like the end of Marley and Me over and over. Like, oh man, you must watch a dog die like 5 different times.
Yeah.
Dennis Quaid is in this as a grown-up Ethan. Mm-hmm. You've got Britt Robertson as Hannah, a young Hannah. I love Britt Robertson as the girl next door. That seems to be her claim to fame right now, is just being the girl next door in a lot of movies.
Yeah.
There's some. The story is whatever. It's Josh Gad voicing the dog and narrating his actions, and you watch a dog go through life with different people in different situations and growing old with some, and then massive coincidences come along to create drama in this movie at the end that was just silly. Silly drama at the end of this movie.
This for most of this movie, I really thought this was like a bad movie with a bad idea of a dog talking thrown into it.
Yeah.
I'm not impressed with animals talking too much. There was like a little clip that you'd see on YouTube of like the barking groundhogs and stuff. That was funny. But Look Who's Talking and Homeward Bound and stuff kind of all ruined that. Isn't it funny when things that can't talk look at the human world and, oh my gosh, isn't that funny how they think they own the boy? And
there's a whole chunk
like
of the internet that's dedicated to that. Crazy cat videos. Oh, it's got a personality.
Yeah, it's
I'm sure your cat has a personality. It's not yours.
I have a feeling they went up to Josh Gad and they said, "You want to be in the same ranks of like Bill Murray and Michael J. Fox and he's like,
I like Josh Gad too.
What you got to do is voice this dog and say all the cliche things a dog would say when it's trying to figure out the human world. It's going to be hilarious. Having a dog die also 5 times throughout this thing, not fun.
No.
There was people bawling at the second dog dying.
Yeah.
The first dog dying really only lasted like 5 movies. And who wants to see a movie about a dog dying 5 times?
Exactly. And like I say, they use that to dramatic effect. They use this crazy, stupid coincidence at the end that would never happen in a million years.
Personally, I thought that was the most interesting part of the movie.
Oh, it was terrible.
And also, I do like Dennis Quaid.
I like Dennis Quaid a lot.
I think he did a good job in this movie.
I love some Dennis Quaid. What did you give A Dog's Purpose?
I gave it a 1.5. It was a horrible movie with a horrible idea, and a dog dies quite often. Why would you want to see this movie? Yeah. I gave it a 1.5. I liked.
I gave it 2 stars. Kind of.
Yeah.
Give me some Dennis Quaid. I like Britt Robertson.
Yeah,
I don't need the rest of the movie.
The rest of the movie, yeah.
Yeah. So
maybe he should have just did something else.
Disappointing week at the movies.
Yeah.
But what isn't disappointing, sir, is the best movies of 2016. Now, you and we have our top 10 lists prepared,
yes, we
right?
do.
This took a lot of effort on both of our parts to narrow down, to craft this list.
Yeah.
I think I said last week, for me, my number 6 through like my number 14 have been just very liquid. It's hard to nail them into an order. Mm-hmm. I think we got where we need to be.
Yeah. And just to relieve some pressure off of us, we have a top 10. We won't talk much about the top 5.
No,
but
the bottom 5 of the top 10.
Yeah, the bottom 5 of the top 10.
Yeah.
We're just going to tell you the in-between. But
yeah, so let's do that. Let's. You're 10 through 6. What do you have?
My 10 through 6. I had Birth of a Nation.
Hold on. Pause for the picture. And nope. All right.
All right. Ghostbusters.
Yep.
Zootopia. A Monster Calls. And Arrival. I do have a special love for Troll. I've seen that movie a lot of times.
Trolls.
And I find myself quoting it quite often. But it's not on my top 10 list. But man, I sure quote that movie way too much for someone who didn't put it on his...
Ghostbusters in your top 10.
Yeah.
Kudos, sir.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the movie. I thought it got an unfair shake from a lot of people. And
I concur.
That is a movie I look forward to re-watching over and over again. A lot of my stuff that's on my list are things that I would re-watch or have scenes in it that are just so powerful that I will remember them forever.
Sure.
Yeah, but I promised myself I wouldn't talk about my top.
There's your top 6. Okay, my list, starting at number 10 for me, I have Captain Fantastic. My number 9, I have Kubo and the Two Strings.
Good movie.
My number 8, I have Silence, the Martin Scorsese film. My number 7 is Sing Street, now available on Netflix. Go watch it. Yeah, it's great. And my number 6 is Manchester by the Sea. So, like I say, we're not discussing those because we don't have time to discuss 20 movies. But those, let's get into our top 5s. Your number 5 movie of 2016.
Number 5, I agree with everybody else. La La Land is a great movie. The choreography is awesome. The acting is great. The sets are great. There really isn't anything to complain about this movie. It's good. It's really good. It's definitely
14 Oscar nominations.
That's crazy too much, but it is justified as a good movie. It really is.
I agree. My number 5 movie is a film that came out earlier last year, and I just fell in love with. It is Hell or High Water from director David Mackenzie. A great Western, a great story of two brothers who are desperate to save the family farm and decide to come up with this great plan of, we're going to rob banks to pay off the foreclosure, but we're going to rob the bank that is foreclosing on us. So we're going to pay them back with their own money. And Chris Pine and, why would I draw a blank now?
Oh, no.
No.
I would help you out.
Dang it, and I love the brother. Jeff Bridges as the Texas Ranger is phenomenal.
And I believe he's nominated for...
He is nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
And it's crazy that this would make your list because you are not a huge Chris Pine fan.
No, and I think Chris Pine is the weakest link of it all. And
he had 3 movies out last year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Perfect Storm? No, it wasn't Perfect Storm.
No, Finest Hours.
Yeah, Finest Hours.
Star Trek.
Star Trek.
Yeah, and I love Hell or High Water. I could watch it over and over again. And Jeff Bridges is great.
Yeah, he is.
And his interaction between he and his deputy are a lot of fun. So that's my number 5 movie. Your number 4.
My number 4 is Cloverfield. 10 Cloverfield, not Cloverfield.
We're going deep.
You only have 3 actors, and having them all on one little set interacting with each other was just amazing. I like this better than the original, and I really like the original. I like how this is totally different from the original. I hope they keep this up where every single installment of Cloverfield is an entirely different movie set in the same world. I thought it was very clever and well acted. One of my favorite suspense movies of the year.
I like 10 Cloverfield Lane quite a bit. My issue with it is the end of it. I don't love the end of it. I don't love when she gets to the surface, what they do with it.
They had to tie it into Cloverfield, and that was the only way they could do it. And also...
It felt like a different movie.
It did. But the whole movie was a different movie.
No, but I mean, it felt like a different movie than the movie I'd been watching for the previous hour and a half.
True.
10 Cloverfield Lane.
But I've seen it maybe 5 or 6 times.
Have you really?
Yeah, I've watched it a lot. I enjoyed it a lot.
What movie do you think you've watched the most this year?
Well, that would be my number 1.
Okay. All right, good. Fair enough. Well, then that works out just fine. My number 4 selection for the year is Arrival, Denis Villeneuve's new film. This is one of those movies that really hung with me.
Yep.
Amy Adams. I mean, aliens land on the planet. Who do you go to get to deal with it? You don't get, the army goes and gets a linguist. Yeah. And the way that she developed and explained how language works and how to communicate with someone who has nothing remotely considering that you would consider a language. There's no shooting the aliens. There's no punching the aliens in the face. It's very peaceful and her trying to figure it out. And then you start to figure out towards the end, like how she got to this place. That movie messed me up.
Truly amazing. I had a point in the movie where I gasped out loud. I usually don't do that at movies. It was simple. It was extremely complex. It was beautiful.
Yeah.
It rightfully on your list.
I love it.
It's on my list, too.
Quite-
I just couldn't talk about it until now.
Quite a bit. So Arrival is my number 4 movie of the past year. What is your number 3 movie?
This would actually be my favorite suspense movie
Ooh.
of the year. I just said Cloverfield was one of mine. But Don't Breathe, I thought was fantastic. I love how it's set in Detroit. I love how they utilize, probably, I feel bad for Detroit, but it's great for horror films. And I think Stephen Lang, he did a great job as the blind man. Jane Levy as Rocky. It had a lot of suspense. It was thrilling. It was a movie that I could watch again, and I look forward to watching every single time I do watch it again. I'm waiting for the price of the Blu-ray to go down a little bit more before I own it.
See, my favorite thriller, I think, this year was another movie that featured someone who had a disability, and that was Hush. Hush,
yeah.
I really enjoyed, about a girl who is deaf.
Yeah.
And an intruder comes into the house.
Yeah.
And I like that one quite a bit.
Did it make your list?
Not my top 10.
No. I did like Hush.
It would take a lot for a horror movie to crack my top 10. It Follows made last year, but that was a special movie.
That was a special
Yeah,
movie.
yeah. Number 3, my number 3 is the movie that had me laughing the hardest of any movie I saw this past year. In theater, out loud belly laughs.
I already know what this is.
And it is Hunt for the Wilder People. Yeah, not what you thought.
I didn't.
Hunt for the Wilder People from director Taika Waititi. It is an Australian film about a young boy named Ricky who is a foster child who has been bounced around all over the place. He ends up with his family out in the outback of Australia. He's taken in, and various things happen, but his foster mom passes away, and he and his foster dad, played by Sam Neill, are on the run through the Australian outback. Sam Neill, a crotchety old man who doesn't want to deal with this kid who's way into gangster rap and has a dog named Tupac. And through various circumstances, different people are chasing him. The foster agency, the lady who's the head of the foster agency is acting like she's on a black ops mission. You've got some kind of hillbillies that think there's some nefarious things going on between Sam Neill and Ricky.
That was, I laughed.
There's a
out
whole
loud
series of
really
different
hard.
things, and I just, throughout this movie, laughed really hard.
Yeah.
I really, really love this movie. It's now on Netflix. You've got to watch it. Or Hulu. It's on Hulu.
Was this nominated for anything? I mean,
I don't
it was
believe so.
a great movie. It really is. Sam Neill is perfect in
Yeah.
this. And it is one of those movies you could rewatch. It's like a mix of Up and
Yeah, I love it, and it's from the same director who did What We Do in the Shadows, the vampire movie from a couple years ago. Love
Okay.
that. He's also now directing Thor 3, which gives me hope. It's an odd mix.
yeah,
Take
that's
this,
very off.
Put it in Thor, but maybe it'll make Thor more interesting to me. So that's my number 3, Hunt for the Wilder People. We are top 2, sir. What do you have as your number 2?
Well, now you could talk about one of your top 10s that you couldn't before. My 2 is Captain Fantastic.
Yeah.
I thought that was a fantastic movie.
Oh, I see what you did there.
When you have it's beautiful. It is entertaining. Everyone is very good at acting. Viggo Mortensen, he did a fantastic job as portraying this father that's raising these kids differently than the rest of society. And it doesn't really take just a view of what he's doing is absolutely perfect. There is drawbacks to what he's doing, and this movie shows it very tastefully, where you feel like you're seeing both sides. You're not being hammered, hey, these are ideals that you got to believe in. It's funny. It's beautiful. They have the best rendition of Sweet Child of Mine I've ever heard.
The clash when the kids finally meet modern society for the first time.
Yeah.
Frank Langella comes in as the father-in-law. I'm taking the kids away. There's a lot of drama built up there.
Yeah.
I don't know a lot of people that could have done better than Viggo Mortensen, or could have done as well as Viggo Mortensen. He was perfect in this role.
Yes, he was.
He was very, very good in this role, and he's being recognized as such with the Best Actor nomination.
And I think he deserves that nomination because this is a fantastic film, and it should be watched by more people.
Yeah.
I nearly cried.
Yeah, absolutely. Excellent movie. Excellent. My number 2 movie is a movie that you had mentioned that is nominated for every Oscar this year. It is La La Land, of course. La La Land, beautiful. It's a musical. Some people, they ask me about it, like, is that La La Land? I keep hearing about it. Is that good? It's a musical, though, right?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, it's a musical. It's a great movie. Go see it.
And the main theme that goes through, it goes through my head like every day.
There's the opening sequence of this of all these people trapped on a highway trying to get to Hollywood, and the opening song and dance number and how it's choreographed is incredible. The chemistry between Emma Stone and Ryan Gosling is something that I could just watch all day long. I keep explaining La La Land. To me, it's like a dream that I didn't want to wake up from.
Yeah.
Like, I just wanted to be in this great world of, I mean, the dream sequence where they're floating through the sky. I'm like, yeah, I'll be part of that.
Oh, there's very rarely a scene that I can't think of that isn't picture perfect.
Yeah.
Just them walking down.
I mean, Damien
the
Chazelle is
movie
an
lot.
incredible director.
Yeah.
Just a couple of movies, he's already put his huge stamp on Hollywood. I really, really love this movie.
I'm trying to think of what were the flaws of this movie, and I can't.
I got
think of
nothing.
any.
I got none.
Nothing.
I got none. It's a 5-star movie.
I give it a 4.5 just because I'm not huge on musicals, and I can't see myself rewatching this.
Sure.
But I have nothing bad to say about this movie. It's a great
Good,
movie.
because I don't want to come to fisticuffs. All right, so that's my number 2. Your number 1 movie of 2016.
I think all the critics believe, and I believe it was nominated for almost everything. Deadpool.
Ah, sure.
Deadpool is the best movie of the year. I don't care if it's a comic book movie. It is good. It was directed well. The way the director did the time, where he could fast forward and show you what was happening in the future, bring it back to the present time, and then by the time you caught up to what he already told you, it still feels fresh and new. The fact that Ryan Reynolds, this is his part. This is his role. He will be known as Deadpool forever, not because he played Deadpool, but because he played it awesomely. He should have been nominated for Best Actor for Deadpool. He made me feel, I felt sympathy for him. I laughed for him. I felt that every time there's action, I felt amazement by this movie. It was extremely well done with a limited budget. No one really thought this was going to take off since, you know, they have done Deadpool poorly in the past. This was a fantastic movie. I am a little bummed that it didn't get a single nomination. Yeah. But Ryan Reynolds, being as cool as he is, because he's one cool cat, he's just like, you know what? I don't care. Everybody, congratulations. You guys did a great job on all the movies you did, and made me love this movie even more. The advertising campaign for this, too,
that was a lot of fun.
It was fun.
It was a lot of fun.
This
it
was
won
a
my
great
award
movie.
for Best Comic Book Movie of the Year.
Yeah?
If that's anything.
No, that's not.
Well, that's just the award I'm handing out for it.
Well, if it's not your number 1, we're done speaking.
All right. Looking for a new co-host next week, folks, because my number 1 movie is Moonlight. Moonlight, the movie that affected me more than any movie this year. A 3-part story of a young boy, a teenager, an adult man, all the same guy. Chiron is his name. Little, he goes by different names. You see him as like a 9-year-old kid, abused, neglected, bullied at school, a mom who doesn't have time for him. He ends up living with a drug dealer named Juan, played by Mahershala Ali. He should win an award for what he did. Then it cuts to him as a high schooler. He's still bullied, confused sexually. His mom is a crack addict now. Juan has died. He's alone. He's still confused about life, sexuality, adulthood, everything that comes along with that. And then cut to him as an adult. He is now the drug dealer that Juan was, and still very quiet, very shy, very confused. It is an incredible movie, a movie that just I could not stop thinking about. Moonlight is my favorite movie. I love it.
It was an empty threat of me saying I wasn't going to.
Right, very good.
You're right. This was a really good movie. Moonlight, I did watch that. It has some really haunting scenes. Yeah. That diner scene where it seemed like a lot of silence, but that silence just built more into the movie. And like you said, the character is a silent person. To have him be silent, great. And that they didn't fall into stereotype roles, which I really hate, that people just find a cliche or a stereotype and blow that up. Yes, he's homosexual, but you don't have to act like a stereotype. This person, he was confused. He was hurt. And people wouldn't understand him. And the fact that
he had nobody.
Hollywood didn't just take stereotypes of someone. He just made him his own person. Yeah. I thought it was brilliant. It was brilliant, and I believe this got nominated for something.
It did, several awards.
Yes.
So yeah, we'll be talking more about those awards on future episodes. But those are our best movies of 2016, movies that we absolutely loved and you need to see if you haven't yet.
Yes.
Quickly, let's take a look ahead at what is coming out the weekend of February 10th. We have 3 movies coming out that weekend, sir. The first one is the sequel to 50 Shades of Grey. We have 50 Shades Darker.
Yay.
Yes, sir. We also have another sequel, John Wick 2. Keanu is back and ready to kick some teeth in.
Okay.
And last but not least, we have the Lego Batman movie.
Woo!
Mike's fired up for that. Look out. So those are all coming out the weekend of February 10th. Next episode, we're going to be talking to you about The Comedian. We'll also talk about Rings. We're also going to talk about The Space Between Us. Before we leave you, though, of course, we have to thank our sponsor, Marcus Theaters The Palace. Thank you for sponsoring our show. We do appreciate it. We love us some Marcus Theaters. Like I said, next week we got more movies to talk about. We're heading into 2017 now. But until that time, my name is Jameson.
I'm Mike Roth.
Thanks for watching.